Hi, it's Denise. Do you want to highlight your company on my next episode of Standout? Click below. I'm Denise Summers, the host of Standout, the video series celebrating the successes of women founders and business leaders. Today we're talking to JoAnn Stoneberg of As the Planets Turn. JoAnn is an intuitive soul investigator, and so welcome, JoAnn. Great to have you here.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah.
Happy to be here, Denise.
Yeah, for sure. And so tell me, who are the clients that you work with? Who are the people that come to see you?
So a lot of my clients are mostly women, and the odd time I do get the few men in there, but it's mostly women, and it's typically women in their 50s, all right? And the funny thing about that is, now that I've gone through most of my 50s already on the tail end of it, when we hit 51, 52, it's like our world crumbles, our world disappears, our world changes, the rug gets pulled out from under us. And we're going through a change, not only, physical changes, right, as women do, but also spiritual changes. We're now heading into a time period in our 50s where we're not young anymore, but we're not old yet either. So the 50s is this really weird decade, and it's not just women, men go through this too, but I notice women are more emotional, they don't know who they are. It's almost like this identity crisis going on for them. So I help them work through that, also dark night of the soul part of it as well, depending on what that person is going through. And the 50s are this place where we have to start bringing in our imagination. We've worked in the corporate world, we've raised children, we've, lived lives, taking care of everybody else all the time, and very left-brained activities.
Right.
And now the 50s, maybe the children have left the nest, maybe you've, left your corporate job, or you want to do something different, but don't know how to shift and make the change. And so it's coming into the right brain, our creative self, our imaginal self, and imagining ourselves, being the artist, being the creative person. It's almost like embracing your inner hippie again,
so
your
it's sort
inner
of
child.
a what's next type of time in their lives? Is that?
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
What's next? What do I do now?
Yeah.
And so it's working through all the emotions, stuff coming up that we never had a chance to deal with when we were busy with our lives prior to that. So it really opens up a can of worms, and I help women guide them through this time period in their lives on a spiritual level, because it's a spiritual journey that we're going on, and helping them to release and let go on a spiritual level, and to really help them see life from a different perspective. But the main part is to let them know that it's okay to let go of that old part of self, to move into this new part of self and discover more about yourself that you'd never had the chance to in the past.
So how do you go about improving their lives? How do you help them?
So I help people by looking at their astrology chart, which is where all the planets were on the day they were born. And the area of astrology that I gravitated to over the years, because there's so much to astrology, I've been studying it for 20 years now, is I've gravitated to looking at the chart from a soul perspective called evolutionary astrology. That helps me see how the soul has evolved in this lifetime, where it's come from, and where it's sort of what transitions and resolutions it needs to work through in this lifetime. So helping the person guide them through that, using different energy healing techniques like past life regression, resolving ancestor patterns of behavior, relationships, how they are, and looking at things from a perspective of I, instead of blaming everything in our environment.
Right. Right. And so what have your clients said to you about how this has changed their lives, the improvement it's made?
So one client I had, she was still in her house that she had with her now ex-husband, and her son was living with her. And she was working at a job where she felt that she needed to take care of everybody, but wasn't being paid the manager's salary. So we took a step back and helped her to realize that, hey, you do have the tools to leave your house and change your life. And when I started pointing things out to her about that she can change, that she did have resources, family help supporting her, and helping her to understand her perspective at work as well. It's like, that's not your responsibility. When she started seeing all these different things in her relationship to everything, she's like, oh, all of a sudden the ball got rolling for her. I busted her out of her little, bubble she was in, the stuck bubble she was in, if you will,
Right.
to help her move forward in her life. And she's doing so much better now because her health has improved as well. And she's also started really focusing in on her part-time business that she's wanted to create, and being very successful with that as well now.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thanks for joining us today, JoAnn. It's been great to have you on the show. Where can people reach you if they want to get in touch?
Thank you, Denise. So if people want to get a hold of me to help transform their lives and resolve, patterns of behavior that they're not wanting anymore, you can email me at JoAnn at JoAnn, there's no E on the end of my name, at astheplanetsturn.com, or at my website, astheplanetsturn.com. Thank you.
Well, thanks, JoAnn. Great to have you on the show. I'm Denise Summers. I'm the host of Standout, and I hope you've enjoyed this episode. That was JoAnn Stoneberg of As the Planets Turn. And in our next episode, we'll be doing a deep dive into astrology and how the stars and moons affect our lives and affect our moods and so on. Hope you'll join us. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, if you want someone to be a guest on our show, be sure to click on the link below. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe so you never miss an episode.